doesn't matter how well they can sing or how well they can rap, because it's going to implode, because they're not going to put in the work for it.
And how has she managed to have such a long, successful career?
Mathew Knowles.
First of all, lovely to meet you. I think everybody was kind of blown away by a lot of advice you've given them here today. A lot of the people in there were asking you about genre, what it takes to be successful, all of this stuff, but kind of what one thing would you say to young artists?
Number one criteria for me, and for people that are successful, it would be those artists that are extremely passionate about what they do, the thing that energizes them, the thing that they go to bed at night thinking about, they wake up in the morning thinking about it. And there's a reason why passion is so critical, because what coexists with passion, like a glove, are work ethics. Mm-hmm. You can't find someone that's have these amazing work ethics unless they're completely have bought in with the passion. So that's why I look for the passion, because they're not going to practice, they're not going to do all the things required if they're not passionate about it. And it doesn't matter how well they can sing or how well they can rap, because it's going to implode, because they're not going to put in the work for it to be the best at it.
And you have obviously been so successful yourself, but you're kind of behind a lot of successful people. You're so involved in that success. You have so much of a contribution to that success. Obviously Beyoncé, Destiny's Child, many other artists that you mentioned.
Yeah.
What's it like for you, people, if they don't even know who you are kind of thing, but hearing what you've done is just, how does that kind of connect?
Well, Isabel, people maybe in the audience don't know who I am. Mm-hmm. Most everyone in the music industry knows who I am. I assure you of that. We have a very tight-knit community, and those people that are extremely successful at it, people emulate, and they want to look and see what are the things that they did that worked. For me, as I've gotten older, and I just turned 71 last week.
You look great.
Thank you very much. I was hoping you would say that. Thank you, Isabel.
No problem.
But as I've gotten older, I used to be way behind the scenes with what I've done in life. Mm-hmm. And now I come out and talk about my successes, not to be braggadocious, but to let people know when you're completely passionate about what your craft is and you want to be the very best at it. And I've been fortunate to be the very best at multiple industries I've been in. Not just the music, but in corporate America, in fashion, as a professor. I just last week just got an amazing grade at one of those universities I teach at. I want to be the best, and I want people to know what's required. That's why I use so many examples of athletes and other people that are the best in the world at it.
But talking specifically with music, being a music manager, what's one thing you wish you'd known before you became a manager?
My whole life as a manager has been a learning every day.
Sure.
I mean, I'm constantly learning. I shared, I spent 4 hours just putting together my presentation and Google and looking at articles and reading articles and looking at videos and on the topics. So I could be on point of what I say, because when I give on that stage, I'm giving facts. I'm not giving any emotions. This is just factual data. So I'm constantly learning. And so there's not one thing I wish. I just keep learning. Obviously, I came from corporate America. So I brought a set of skills that were not in the music industry. Branding and endorsement was not a major part of the music industry when I came, and we're talking 1995. Now it's a major part of it. I didn't know, obviously, all the different departments of a record label and what they did and what the international, but I worked hard. I went back to school. That's why I teach here at LCCM. I went back to school in Houston, took artist management, took professional development, took production, music production. so that I could have some knowledge. I went to every seminar that I could so that I could have some knowledge. So I'm constantly on a learning path. My artists that I work with are constantly on a learning path. That's what this industry is about, is constantly reinventing yourself.
And do you think that people now have the potential to be that big anymore, if that makes sense? Well,
it's very, very rare, the opportunity, because what appears like success, I use the word jet-eye mind trick, because of social media. We talked about it briefly. We sometimes make artists appear to be more successful than they are. Fans wouldn't know that, but industry, because we know the financial aspect of it, and that's what I wanted to share today also, is that artists and managers understand the financial part of this and how that affects an artist's success also. So social media has some good in that it can help you build an audience. We talked about, no longer is it about followers. You know, that's old school 5 years, 10 years ago. It's about how many people do you influence that goes on that page and hear you or see you. That's what's important today. And so we're looking at it differently. We talked about there's not one thing that makes an artist successful. It's a multitude of things. We still have radio play. We still have that artist that's on tour. We still have that artist video and on YouTube, on their YouTube page. There's so many different ways that when you add those up collectively, that equals your audience.
But do you think still people can still be this superstar that was?
It's much harder today because we have so much music now that the audience can go and experience. The good side of that is that a lot of new artists can hear themselves, you know, and they feel good about that. The bad thing about it is so much music out there that it's hard for new artists to really bubble through all of that, even with other new artists. And because the consumer just at a certain point just get music burnout, that they can't listen to all of these new songs. And they just focus towards the names that have been branded. And that's the names they're gonna go to first. When those artists put out music, they're gonna gravitate to that. When XYZ artists put out music, then they gotta find it. And the clutter that's now makes it difficult.
When you're personally looking for an artist to sign, do you want someone who's right at the beginning, or do you want someone that's fully developed?
No, I had a formula. Again, I used to have them come sit on the sofa, and we just have a conversation. Again, going back to that word passion. But then it's also important that they have a clear understanding of who they are as artists. I mean, we heard today, I wanted people to hear how many artists, I won't say most, but many artists, they don't know who they are as an artist. They don't know what genre, they don't know the imaging or the song. You know, we heard I'm a duo, but then I'm a solo artist. You know, we heard all kind of stuff. We heard, oh, I'm gonna sing the song in 5 different languages at the same time. And that represent, I wanted the room to understand that unfortunately represents that part of the industry, artist development, that is not done. Record labels don't do that, any artist development. So either managers have to do it, or you find it at schools here, like here what LCCM is doing, giving folks an opportunity to experience these type of workshops. But that's the key and critical thing, and we'll talk more about that. They have no idea tomorrow. You know, I have a guest vocal coach that's coming on. We're going to talk about, you know, basic things like how to hold a microphone correctly, how to use a mirror to really hone in on your connection with the audience and your facial expressions and your body language and movement. Simple things that everyone had that they don't use. And we'll talk about those type of artist development. But it still starts also, to answer your question, that formula, that song becomes the second most important thing to me. That you have an amazing song to go with your artistry and your image and your marketing, because you can have all of those things without a great song, it's gonna equal, my words, whack.
Beyonce, how do you think she's managed, because she's literally still as successful as she was in the beginning, how has she managed to have such a long, successful career in your eyes?
Well, that's untrue about Beyonce's success. Beyonce lost on Star Search, which is equivalent to American Idol.
Right.
Her group did. Beyonce got dropped by Elektra Records, which major record label at its time. She then had to make changes. Not she didn't make them, I actually made changes in the group Destiny's Child. First album, self-titled Destiny, it wasn't a bad album, but it wasn't a great album. It was an average album in terms of sales. It's now, because of the success, it's gone multi-platinum. But she's had her failures. And those failures is what has made her great. And that's what I want the room to know tomorrow. It's failure is an opportunity to grow, not a reason to quit. And I absolutely guarantee you that in the music industry, you're gonna have multiple failures. All the time. And even today, she grows every experience. She looks back at every performance and say, what could I have done better?
What's your favorite song on the Renaissance album?
On this one? Actually, it's plastic on my.
You can't get it wrong.
With plastic on my sofa.
Yeah.
Because that's the song I just have that on repeat when I'm taking my walk. I love that song. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Matthew.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to meet you, and
My
thank you so much for sharing your knowledge.